I'd like to talk to some of the newcomers to the Star Wars universe, and that includes you, Rian. You're the boss, but you're also the new kid in a way.
Yeah, I'm like the new boyfriend at Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, from what we don't know a whole lot about Admiral Holdo, but we know she's kind of the new boss. She's a new leader in the Resistance. Is there a little bit of you in Admiral Holdo?
Oh,
very much so.
I would be thrilled if there were. Laura Dern could represent any part of me in life. I would be thrilled. Yeah, Holdo. I mean, Laura. I've been wanting to. It's a dream to get to work with her, and the character that she plays and all of its glorious purple-haired wonder is. We were really able to dig in and do some really exciting, fun stuff. And Laura, I know that the moments on set where suddenly you would catch my eye and you would say, "This feels like we're making an independent film." Those were the moments that I was yeah, it kind of does, and I think that feels really good, and that kind of intimacy of the process, I think. I don't know, if Laura Dern's telling you that, then you may be on the right track, I guess. But yeah, I hear you. So.
Kelly and Laura, I know you're there to do a job and be professional, but is there any part of you that geeks out a little bit when you start working on a Star Wars film?
Every part.
Every part. I'm trying not to cry right now because this is so weird and different. Yeah, I feel like Rian has said this before, but it definitely feels like you have to find a way to just do the work and kind of block everything out, but then C-3PO comes up and you're like, oh, God. So you're constantly figuring out, how can I figure out how to work in this environment? And then you're like, but also this is awesome. So it's kind of a balance, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just to add to that, what Rian spoke to, that he does so beautifully, as well as Andy was describing, the intimacy of discovering each character's conflict, which is just extraordinary given the enormity of the cast, that he gave us that in the experience of the workplace. And it was shocking. And Oscar and I always talked about just how stunned we were that we were in such a massive environment and did feel like we were, making a indie movie, and you were always encouraging us to try things and explore character and explore this duality of the light and the dark within characters. The movie speaks to so beautifully, not just that there are alternative universes, but that lies within, which seems to be the place that George Lucas first started, the mythology of that, and it's just so brilliant. And a group of us sitting together watching it for the first time was amazing, because it was like we were with 3,000 people. We were screaming, standing up, crying.
Donald, you head up?
Donald, you missed something.
Oh, gosh.
Hope you're happy.
I want to ask Donald and Adam about your two characters, Hux and Kylo Ren. Had a really interesting relationship in The Force Awakens that I understand is expanded on in this movie, where Snoke sort of plays them against each other. They're allies, but not really. I wondered if you two could talk about their bond or lack thereof as we enter this film.
I think it's definitely, there's a competition, and it's maybe yet to be discovered where that comes from. I mean, if anything, I think that's more of a testament to kind of what everyone has been saying of Rian's ability to not mind the character in every moment, which seems like an obvious thing, but he doesn't. So he knows that spectacle, it won't mean anything if you don't care about anything that's going on, which again seems very obvious, but I think it's a really hard thing to balance with this many moving parts in the scale of something like this. It's so I love playing those scenes, especially with Donald, because he's a great actor, and there's nothing is kind of taken for granted where this happens and it moves on. If anything, Rian slows the pace, and when there's not a moment that's taken for granted. It's always broken up into little pieces, and the story in our mind comes first before an explosion.
Is there like a corollary in our world to the relationship that they have?
That's dangerous water. I don't want to.
Plunging.
No, I think the
Like rival co-workers or brothers? Nobody?
Oh, I see. I don't know. I think it's funny, you know, like there's just such a huge amount of drama going on in that group of people, but then also just a huge amount of bitchy infighting as well, which I think is really fun to see them kind of really hurt each other from the inside as well as from the outside. You know, the united front thing is difficult for them sometimes. But it was just, yeah, I'm not good. Sorry, I think, you know, I think it's just a privilege to be in the film.
It's very good. I think we'll open it up then to the audience for some questions. And just raise your hand. We have some microphones that are going around. And I'll try to call on as many of you as we can get.
Well, that's a mic.
There are lots of folks out there. Let's ask this gentleman right here with the goatee. Yeah.
My question's for Mark Hamill. With Luke training Rey in this movie, it seems like he's in the position Yoda was with Luke in The Empire Strikes Back. Is it sort of like when your parents say you'll understand when you're older? Does he finally learn some of Yoda's lessons now that he's the teacher?
Well, you're assuming that I train Rey.
Exactly.
Sneaky.
Do I?
Sneaky.
I know I have to be really careful. People say, was it difficult to pick up and wield a lightsaber again? And I go, do I pick up?
Is it difficult acting in this movie? Am
Well-
I in this movie?
I can promise you my part is twice as big as it was in Force Awakens. What's 2 times 0?
Question there in the back.